Hey runners, happy Tuesday, May 30th, the day after Memorial Day, which was yesterday, um, here in Phoenix, Arizona. It is a few minutes here before 10 a.m. local time. We just got back from our vacation late last night. In fact, by the time we walked in the doors, it was just about a minute or two before 11 a.m., which is very late for us as we go to bed quite early. So we had a connecting flight. But I'll tell you all about it. Hope you guys are doing well. I am sitting here just kind of going over um, the race that we did over the weekend, which was yesterday on Memorial Day, and yeah, really excited. Got today off. We did some laundry this morning. Had to get some groceries and some catching up, and thought I'll just sit down here and kind of go over the race and how everything went. If you've been watching the channel here, you know that I've been training for this 7 mile race out in Quad Cities, which is basically four cities in Iowa and Illinois. Um, Bettendorf, Iowa, Davenport, um, Iowa, Moline, and I want to say Rockford. Hopefully, I got those right. If you guys are familiar with that area, if I didn't, let me know down in the comments down below. But yeah, what a great trip it was. So we were going out to see my wife's parents who live in Iowa on the eastern side of Iowa. But it was several reasons why we were going out there. One was our niece is graduating from high school there, and invited us to go out there and attend their graduation, which was on the weekend on Saturday, um, and that was a lot of fun to see her graduate and moving on to the next steps in her life. So very excited for her. She's worked very hard, so we're glad to see her moving on to the next phase of her life. We actually, take a step back and we'll start from the beginning. We left on our trip last Thursday. The Would have that been the 25th of May. So we left from here in Phoenix, and we had a straight flight to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is more centrally located in the state. And then we got a rental car, and we drove that over to my wife's parents, my in-laws. They were still in visiting their grandkids um, in Nevada, so they were coming the following day. So we got there a day earlier and had a good flight. It's about just under 3.5 hours from Phoenix to Cedar Rapids. So a good flight. We got in about 5:30ish, 5:45 p.m. on a Thursday, um, and then we spent Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night there. Um, we did some running. Beautiful weather out there. Friday morning, we went for a run at about 7 o'clock in the morning on this trail. It's called the Heritage Trail. Really nice, smooth path, dirt with trees lined. If you've never been to Iowa before, it's definitely different than Arizona, really anywhere from the West. We have a lot of brown, a lot of dirt, not a lot of green, whereas it's a contrast out there. There's a lot of greenery. Um, this time of the year, the temperature on average is, mid to upper 70s and lows in the maybe 50s. It was a gorgeous morning out there. We went for just a nice little 4 mile. I did a 4 mile run, and my wife did. I believe she did six, and I felt great. That kind of set the stage for the race because when I went out there and I noticed that my effort, there was hardly really any effort as I was running about a 9:15 pace. And normally at that pace, I'm feeling my heart rate go up a little bit, but nothing crazy. When I checked my heart rate a couple times, it was low. Like low for me is like 114. Got to 120, and I was still holding like a 9:15 pace. I thought, wow, this is great. The weather is like 48 degrees at 7 a.m. In the last couple miles, I did like an 8:33, 8:20 some pace, and got up there a little bit higher, but I still felt great. So I thought to myself, with 3 days to go, if I feel like this on race day, it's going to be a great race. Um, and then we spent some time with her family. We went to our niece's graduation, which was Saturday, in the town of Dubuque, Iowa, which is about 30 minutes east of where my wife's parents live. They live in a rural area called Holy Cross, Iowa, and we went to Dubuque where our niece was graduating from high school. Nice ceremony. We got to watch the graduation and watch her, walk the stage and get her diploma. That was neat to see. Brought back memories when I was in high school many decades ago. But it was a really good ceremony, and that was done at. Sorry about the light flickering. The monitor goes on standby if I don't move the mouse after 5 minutes or so. But it was at 3 p.m. and it was probably about 77 to close to 80 degrees, which we're starting to feel a little bit. I mean, we're used to that temperature, but I know there was a lot of Iowans that, to them, it probably felt like 90 or 100 degrees. But we could definitely feel a little bit of the heat. Anyways, then they had a graduation party, dinner at a local restaurant that her parents frequent. It was a buffet, or you can order off the menu. I did the buffet, which was definitely filling. I went back 3 times, and I felt very stuffed. This was Saturday. The race was until Monday, so I thought, I'll enjoy it. It's your typical Midwest: fried chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy, fried fish, fried cod, fried popcorn shrimp, a little bit of salad they had, and then we had a graduation cake that my wife's parents had got for our niece. So that was fun. And then Sunday we did a shakeout run at her parents' house. There's a lot of gnats there, so when you're running they don't bother you as much, but when you're done, boy, they just like hover all over you. And that's not even the worst of it yet. Come June, July, August, there's going to be tons of mosquitoes and other bugs, so I guess that's the trade-off out there. And then we drove to Davenport, where our hotel was at. So we basically call it the Quad Cities because there's 4 cities there, split between Iowa and Illinois. So went there and then had dinner, and then Monday. So this is where the fun's at, obviously. Monday morning was a race, and again, I was doing the 7-mile race, and my wife was doing the half marathon. And it's called the Quad Cities Running Festival because you've got 5K, 7-mile, and half marathon that all go at the same time at 7 a.m. And it's at this huge sports complex called the TBK Sports Complex. They've got like outdoor soccer, outdoor baseball, softball, excuse me, and indoor soccer fields. They've got bowling. I mean, it's a huge complex. I've never seen anything like that before. Really nice. And we had actually driven what we thought was the correct route, but we, because the streets weren't listed on the map when we went there packet pickup. So we saw part of the route, and we noticed a couple of big hills, which we anticipated, and a lot of rollers, which I actually like. More so than I think than flat roads. Rollers are good because you can get some momentum. You go up. You're not always just staying flat. Kind of boring to me. So I do like some of the rollers. But yeah, it was a it looked to be a challenging course. So we got there that morning, and I did a little bit of a warm up, and then we all started. And my goal, going into the race, I told myself at the absolute worst, I want to run 8:30 pace, but I'd like to run like an 8:15 pace. Anything faster than that, great. Because my 5K is about a 7:55 pace, give or take. So I'm usually about 15 seconds to 20 seconds per mile slower. So as the gun went off, we head out and we make this right turn. And for the first mile or so, it's pretty flat to downhill. We go in these neighborhoods, really nice neighborhoods, and there's some crowd support out there, which was nice to see. It's not a huge race. I think altogether, I think there was less than 600 runners. Um, yeah, maybe 500. In our 7 mile race, I'm looking at it here, we had 123 runners total. And the half had a pretty good amount, and the 5K had quite a few. So, gun goes off, and I'll read my splits. I felt pretty good. I knew that if I was running low weights, that'd be, you know, something I couldn't sustain because then I'm getting close to my 5K pace. But the first mile I came in at 8:09 and I felt good. It said that I'd gained 20 feet and lost 30, so a net of 10 feet climb, which wasn't bad. Second mile was 8:12, and that one gained 41, lost 63, so about 22 foot drop, which was good. I held pretty close to that 8:09, and I was feeling like, okay, I probably, if I'm feeling good at like 8:12, 8:15, let's see if I can sustain that. The next mile at mile 3, gained 53, lost 63 feet, so basically a 10 foot net gain. 8:21, I know on that one at mile 3, at the 2.5 mile mark or so, that's where we had a pretty good climb. So, I was feeling a little bit there, but, recovered. The next mile, 8:12, and then fifth mile, 8:21. So it's funny because miles 2, 3, 4, and 5, on the even miles, I was running 8:12. On the odd miles, 3 and 5, and 8:21. So it's just kind of funny how that worked out. When we got to mile 5, which is basically at the top of the hill, that was one of those big hills. There were two big hills, and you could see, because as we're coming down, I don't know what street it was, we're making a right turn. You could see the downhill, and then you could see that uphill climb. So we knew what we were getting into. As I made that right turn, I wasn't sprinting, but I told myself, just let yourself go, let your body just go naturally. Don't break. Try not to tighten up on the quads. So, gaining a little bit of momentum, knowing that I'm going to have that climb going up. And I told myself all race long, on those big hills, just go off the effort. We're not worried about pace. Naturally, it's going to be slower. And I felt it. When I got to the top of mile 5, I don't know what my pace was running. I was probably, I think, maybe 8:40s, if that, maybe closer to 9s. And it took me some time to recover, because when you got to the top of the hill, less than a quarter mile, you got to a stop sign and you make a right, and then it levels out, and then it goes downhill, and then another climb close to mile 6. So I think between that mile 5 hill and then getting up to 6 and then cresting the hill shortly after, that's where I was a little bit tired. It took me a little bit of time to reel it back to the pace I wanted. I was running from mile 5 to that 6 and a quarter or so. I was probably running like 8, at times 8:40, and then I'd get it back to 8:20s. So I knew my body was a little tired, but I was almost done. I only had, at that point at 6, I only had a mile to go. So throughout the race, I noticed there was, I don't know how old the guy is. I guess I could see his bib because I got a picture of him. He had, I had passed him earlier on, in the beginning, and then he had passed me, and I passed him as we were going down, that getting close to mile 5, as we were climbing up almost to the top, he started to come up and pass me. He never got more than like maybe 4 or 5 seconds ahead of me, so I could see him. And then there's an older gentleman up further up, probably about 10, 15 seconds max ahead of me. And for a couple of miles, we would keep at that pace. So I always had them in my sight. As we got closer, um, basically the final stretch before that last turn to the finish line, I told myself, all right, let's see if we can catch one of them at least. Um, and with about 400 meters, I picked it up a little bit. 200 meters, I really picked it up, and then going around the turn with about 150 meters or so, um, I caught him, and then I caught that other older gentleman just before the finish line, which was cool. So I finished the 7 mile race in 56:41, and here's my bib. I don't know if you can see it, but I finished fifth in my age group, which is 50 to 59. Which last year I would have taken second place. I was hoping I could place this year, but there were definitely more competitive runners, at least in my age group. 50 to 59, you'd be surprised at how competitive those runners are. Here in Arizona, there's a lot of great runners, 50 and older. Um, I didn't know what to expect, but I was hoping that I could place in my age, maybe get I think they're handing out socks to the age group winners. But yeah, I was excited. It was short. I mean, on my watch, I got 6.9 miles. I didn't cut the course. So my watch said I was running 8:13 pace. So 56:41, I would have run. I believe it would have been 57. Let's do the math right now because I had done it. I think it would have been 57:31. And what's funny about that is at the 3.5 mile mark, I looked at my watch because I just wanted to know, okay, what's the halfway time, and it was 28:47, which would put me at 57:39. And so, even though the course was short, I was, on pace to run a little faster or negative split. So I'm happy with it. I really am. I had a great time. It was definitely a challenging course. The weather was good. When my wife finished, which I'll tell you how she did, um, shortly after the sun started to break out. And, we lucked out with the weather because it's the Midwest. You never know what you're going to get. And although it's, creeping up on the beginning of summer, it could have been a lot hotter and more humid. And usually by this time of the year, they have some rains, which really increase the humidity level. So, anyways, when I was done, I was waiting for my wife, who anticipated about maybe 30 minutes or so after me because she did the half. I was waiting for her, and I saw her from a distance. Where I was standing, I was looking out, and I saw her make this right turn down the street, and I was expecting her to be the first overall female, but I saw a cyclist, and behind him was another girl, a younger girl, which my wife later ended up meeting. She's 24, so she's 20 years younger than my wife. She ended up finishing the race in like 1:27, I believe, and change. She won it last year, so she came back and defended her title, and then my wife came in at like 1:31 and change. So, but she was very happy, and so was I. She had that big injury with her back and that big scare back in November of last year. So this is her longest distance race in a year and a half, I believe. So to take second place overall female and to finish, I believe it was 13th overall. That's including men and women. That's impressive. So for overall finishers, they got this. I think they all did. They got a growler, which she makes her own kombucha, so she'll put that in there. So it was pretty cool. And then they had like this breakfast pizza. You could either get with just egg and cheese on it, or um, egg, cheese, and like sausage or bacon bits, which I had on mine, which was interesting since it was in the morning. And then you got a free beer, so I had a local beer, and then this cookie I ate at the airport later. That was like this crumble cookie with marshmallow in the middle. Not bad. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed ourselves. And then after the race, we showered up. We went and grabbed something to eat around the area. And then my wife's parents, who had driven us down, um, the day before, we stayed there a night. They dropped us off at the airport, and then we connected a flight from Quad Cities to Dallas Fort Worth, and we had like almost a 3 hour layover, and then came home. And like I said, we got home last night at about 11 p.m. I probably didn't get to bed till 11:30 or even after that, and so I had taken off work ahead of time, which I'm glad I did. Just kind of relaxing, and yeah, that was it. So now we're back at home, and we have a 5K race here locally in 2 weeks from Sunday, and it's a 5K. We've done this one before. It'll be hot, but it'll be fun to do. In the summertime, we're just looking at maintaining fitness and getting ready for really the next big race. Will be we're planning on doing the Philly Marathon in November. Or Philly, I'll do the half. My wife will do the marathon. So we've got about 6 months before that. We'll have plenty of time to train. Until then, just stay healthy and all. So, well, thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, sorry for this 22 plus minute video, but wanted to let you know how everything went with our trip. I hope you guys had a good holiday, if you celebrate the Memorial Day holiday weekend, and if you had any races, I'd love to hear about it. Let me know down in the comments down below. And what are your plans coming up here as we round out the month of May and head into June? Are there any upcoming races that you may be training for? I'd love to hear about it. So thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye.